It's an absolutely insane day in the world of Magic the Gathering. There has just been a major leak of upcoming Marvel Magic cards, and the cards themselves are totally crazy. But what's even nuttier than that is the fact that this leak is going to lead to serious legal problems.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends! I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a very juicy edition of Mega Magic News. This one is all about the Marvel leaks, but before we dive into that, I have to talk about something else crazy that's going on in the world of Magic. The Commander Rules Committee just dropped a new ban announcement, and normally they don't really make many changes, but they've gone ahead and banned Nadu, Jeweled Lotus, and other cards in a move that I was never expecting. So I will be talking about that in a live stream tonight over on my live stream channel. If you want to come and hang out, I will leave a link to that down in the comment section pinned at the top, because this is genuinely huge news. But this video itself is already going to be quite big, just talking about this Marvel insanity. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at the actual cards, and then we'll talk about where this leak came from and the legal ramifications of this situation. So with no further ado, on to the cards. All right, my friends, we are starting out our marvelous journey with Black Panther Wakandan King. And the first time I went to record this video, I made a hilarious mistake. So I will leave a fun outtake for you at the end of the video. Notice that we have a rubber band running across the artwork. You will see that with every card that we look at. And that's because the person who has these cards has huge, fat stacks. It's absolutely wild. 1 green and 1 white for a legendary human noble hero. And hero is a creature type that existed way back in the earliest days of Magic, but was actually removed as a creature type from the game, and now they're bringing it back. It's highly unlikely that they're going to go back and errata previous cards that mentioned heroes to be heroes once again, but it is a possibility. So, Black Panther is a 2/2 with first strike. He has Survey the Realm. Whenever Black Panther or another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target land you control. And then Mine Vibranium. Move all +1/+1 counters from target land you control onto target creature. If one or more +1/+1 counters are moved this way, you gain that much life and draw a card. So this ties in to the magical, super powerful metal that exists in the land of Wakanda, right? Basically, it's used to make things like Captain America's indestructible shield. So the concept here is you have different individuals who are going out and locating different places that you can mine up this metal. And that's the first ability. That's dudes going out, boom, boom, put the +1/+1 counters on lands to represent having found vibranium. And then the second ability is actually mining that metal up, and that represents making all kinds of fancy gear in the form of +1/+1 counters. The gaining life and drawing a card, not so much. Maybe the drawing card could be research, who knows, and maybe somehow they make technology that helps you health-wise, but overall, the clearest flavor is definitely with the actual metal being mined up and turned into equipment. So overall, that does work as a concept for the king of Wakanda, right? Clearly, he's going to be able to send his subjects out. He's going to have control over the metals. And we all know that that is something that's deeply aligned with Black Panther. The artwork shows him standing there holding his glorious tube. Check out my vibranium. How cool is this? And then you've got his royal guard in front of him, spears ready to go. So when you look at this, this instantly transmits the concept of Black Panther, although somebody could be forgiven if they don't know superhero characters that well for thinking that it was Batman standing up there, right, with one of the varieties of his costumes. But either way, take a look down here. You can see the artist name. This one was done by Tyler Jacobson. And then you can also see, it's kind of difficult to see actually, but under this little plastic wrinkle here, this is a secret layer card. And also I want you to note the date is 2024 on this. We're going to talk about that when we get to the next portion of the video after the actual cards. So then we've got Iron Man. I am Iron Man. Now I totally have the old school music playing in my head. So Iron Man, titan of innovation. Man, did Robert Downey Jr. do a great job really making Iron Man into a believable, likable character who he ain't perfect, but he is a delightful scamp. So 1 red, 1 blue, and 3 for a 4/4 legendary artifact creature human hero. And it's cool that they included the artifact part because Iron Man without his gear is just regular man. So he's a 4/4 flying with haste, genius industrialist. Whenever Iron Man attacks, create a treasure token. Then you may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. If you do, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That's a super powerful ability. Being able to tutor up artifacts, put them straight into play is super wild. And it ties into the overall flavor of Iron Man in that he is a inventor, he is a tinkerer, he is a genius. I mean, if you've watched the movie, you literally got to see him improvise something like a medical device to keep him alive. He was going to be ended and he had to cobble together a bunch of junk into something that, like, it sits in the middle of his chest. I'm not sure what the actual name of the device is, but he literally has a medical device he built himself, and he had to carry around a car battery to keep it going at first. So it really does tie into his genius and the improvisational nature of reorganizing whatever's on hand into something more useful. So that really comes through in the flavor overall. And check out the artwork. He looks super Iron Man-y. It honestly looks like he's wielding magic here too, though, right? He's got like lasers kind of flying out around his hands. I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent 100% because I'm used to him launching rockets and stuff like that. Maybe they wanted to give him a more magical vibe. Maybe there's just parts of the comic books that I'm not that familiar with because I know more about Marvel movies than I do about the actual comic books. But I've always found Iron Man to be a really cool hero because he doesn't have any inherent actual abilities aside from tenacity, intelligence, like regular human attributes, and everything else is mechanically created. He is a self-made man in more ways than one, right? And I like the fact, he's essentially rich, so the whole treasure token also flies into that concept pretty well. Moving on, we've got Wolverine, best there is. Wolverine is such an awesome character. The concept of somebody who has ultra regeneration powers being taken and having his bones laced with crazy indestructible metal, adamantium, right? So that's a horrific thing to do to somebody, but it also makes him into this epic, crazy, powerful dude. And one of the nuttiest things to me about Wolverine is his retractable claws. Every time he lets them out, they're tearing through his flesh, right? Because it instantly knits itself back up when the blades are retracted. So you've got that initial spurt of pain, and he doesn't even show it, right? Who knows? Maybe that gets him more fired up for battle. But Wolverine is 1 green, 1 red, and 1 for a 2/2. He is a legendary mutant berserker hero, and he definitely is a mutant, and he definitely goes berserk. He's got unrivaled lethality. Double all damage Wolverine would deal. It's interesting that they chose doubling all damage instead of giving him double strike. Like, either way is meant to represent the adamantium claws, right? And bro, look at the artwork. I just noticed that he's totally shredded that tree behind him. I was just looking at that pose as he's leaping into battle with somebody who's got their hand down there in front. I didn't notice that he has just sheared through that tree. Look at how thick it is. It's as thick as his torso. Wolverine is a really cool hero, right? So at the beginning of each end step, if Wolverine dealt damage to another creature this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on him. I guess that's supposed to tie into the berserker nature. That, for me, doesn't fit as well into the overall flavor concept because Wolverine doesn't, feed on people's blood. He doesn't draw in their souls or anything like that. So why would he keep getting stronger and stronger? Wolverine isn't somebody, his strength stays constant pretty much. There are different variations of him where he's lost his metal and he's got bone spurs and stuff, but from a regular perspective, he doesn't really gain in power overall, so that feels like a weird choice to me. But down here, is a really solid choice. Regenerate Wolverine. Regenerate is an ability that we have not seen in a long time. It was in the original era of Magic, and at a certain point they replaced it with things like indestructible, right? So Regenerate is weird to some people because you'd think they'd be able to come back from the graveyard, and it doesn't function on quite the same power level as Wolverine's actual regeneration, right? But for a green and one, basically how it works is the next time he would be destroyed, instead he becomes tapped, you remove him from combat and heal all damage. So all of that rules baggage is part of the reason that Wizards decided to remove Regenerate. People thought you could regenerate from the graveyard, which, you think about it, it makes sense. Like, a lot of creatures that regenerate, you think they're done for, and they come back. But in the Magic rules, you have to regenerate preemptively before you get destroyed. So from a flavor standpoint, Regenerate is a little bit of a wonky ability, but it fits Wolverine like a glove, right? Making him indestructible would also work to a degree, but by giving him Regenerate, it does tend to keep the power a little more in control. Because if you just had him as indestructible, this would be way too powerful. And let's be real, all these Marvel cards we're looking at are quite strong. They are indicative of the power level that Magic has reached. Now, you know, I just one more moment. I just have to talk about how awesome this artwork is, right? He's out there running in the snow like it's nothing. He's smashed down these trees. I love the way that he's framed in the center there with all the pine trees around him, and whoever it is that he's about to face off against, I can't tell who that's supposed to be. Is that supposed to be maybe Sabretooth, who is like his arch nemesis? I don't know. I can't really see if he has long claws or not, or whether it's some human who's about to get hosed. Either way, Wolverine tearing through those trees is mega epic. Then we've got Captain America First Avenger. 1 red, 1 white, and 1 blue. Red, white, and blue, baby. That's not the normal order that you will see the actual mana symbols in, but they rearranged them because it's literally Captain America, right? So he is a 4/4 legendary human soldier hero for 3 mana. He's a 4/4. He's got throw, pay 3 mana, unattach an equipment from him. He deals damage equal to that equipment's mana value, divided as you choose, among 1, 2, or 3 targets. So this is literally what he's known for, depicted in the artwork. He is throwing that shield. Get some, right? And then you've got catch. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America. And his shield has kind of boomerang-esque properties. It returns to him, right? So he just throws it at people and then it comes back to him, which is a pretty epic ability, but at the same time, isn't nearly as overpowered as other superheroes, right? Captain America was a regular soldier who got experimented on, turned into a big, beefy ultra soldier, and given a vibranium shield. So he's not as crazy as some of the other superheroes out there, but he has this epic moral code, and he stands a level above the other characters in that way, which admittedly for me makes Captain America a little less interesting because he's almost got the same situation as Superman. You're not really going to find him in many moral quandary gray areas. He's 100% going to be on the side of good, right? But his abilities are super powerful. At the beginning of combat, every turn, you can attach equipment to him for free, and then he can just whip that equipment, whatever it is, and just go, oh, look at that, I smashed up to 3 of your creatures. So this feels ultra busted. The artwork ties it all together quite succinctly. It's literally him whipping his shield. The action pose is amazing, and it looks like he's literally running through a giant explosion. Like some massive explosion's happening. He comes barreling out of it, whips the shield. Like, that is some mega epic flavor. So again, we have regular Magic artist names we already know. The reason I'm bringing this up is it's going to factor into the next part of the conversation. And the collector number up here as well. These are all varied and not sequential on the cards we're looking at. So bear that all in mind. Now it's time to discuss the actual insanity behind this, how likely it is that these cards are real, and what's going to happen next. All right, my friends, you've seen the cards. Now it's time to talk about where they came from and whether they're actually legit. So these cards showed up in a Facebook marketplace post where somebody was trying to sell them. The rubber bands that you saw around the cards, that's because there are fat stacks of each of these. And looking them all over, it actually looks like they represent 4 different secret layers, because when you look at the collector numbers that are listed down at the bottom of the cards, there are huge gaps between them. And if these were meant to be one-ofs, if each of those packs just had all the same cards in them, you would expect that these 4 cards would have sort of sequential numbers for the secret layer action. But there is a gap of at least 5 or 6 cards between each, which leads me to believe that each of the cards we've seen is just the first card in a different secret layer. So it looks like they are 4 different secret layers. And it really does look like overall these are legitimate. When you look at the artists for all of these, all 4 of them are Magic artists who have done cards in the past, right? On top of that, if you try and do any kind of reverse image search where you can punch in an image and Google will show you previous iterations of it, well, guess what? Nothing comes up. So that's usually a good way to weed out when somebody's gone to somebody's art station and taken their artwork and placed it on a card, because a lot of the fakes that we see these days are pretty good. Also, it's interesting to note that this is the first time in a long time we've had a real leak where the pictures weren't ultra grainy, right? So there are a few little things. Obviously, the fact that this all just showed up out of nowhere is something that might make you go, I don't know if these are real. And remember how I pointed out the 2024 date on the cards? Well, we all know that Marvel is coming in 2025. So does that mean that these are fake? Probably not. Wizards of the Coast told us that we were going to be getting a preview of the Marvel cards on October 18th, which just happens to coincide with the entire New York Comic Con situation that's coming up next month. So these are most likely 4 different secret layers that were slated to be revealed to us and put out for sale with the upcoming NYCC, right? So in that situation, it definitely lends credibility to them being real. What also lends more credibility to them being real is the individual actually has other secret layers in their possession as well, including the Chucky secret layer, the one that we just looked at in one of my recent videos, right? So when you put this all together, it seems highly unlikely that these are manufactured fakes. A lot of the time when you get fakes, you have people just posting them for clout on the internet. But this was a Facebook market post where the individual was selling these secret layers for $20 for the first one and $30 for each extra one, something along those lines. Yeah, I kind of had to sift. I had to put on my newsman cap and sift through all the information that was out there because the marketplace post has been taken down, right? So we've seen situations in the past where people got things they weren't supposed to get. You had the whole Pinkerton situation that was a result of the Aftermath boosters getting out there early, right? And that was where somebody made a mistake and shipped the wrong product early. Somebody was able to buy it early and then did some videos opening it, right? This is a completely different beast. This isn't a situation where Wizards accidentally shipped this product out. We're talking stacks and stacks of these things. So what's happened is somebody has apparently stolen all of this stuff. That is pretty much the only conclusion that you can come to here. So it's highly unlikely that this will be a Pinkerton situation, and it's very likely that this will be a straight up calling the police style situation. Now, it's not 100% clear whether the person's already been caught. Clearly, they took down the Facebook post, and that might be because Facebook actually nailed them and they got reported. Or more likely, at first they had people who were just like, yo, can I buy it? Yo, can I buy it? And then as the word spread, more people flooded in going, yo, bro, you are in a world of hurt. We have seen situations where stuff has been stolen from Wizards production facilities before. And with the sheer amount of cards that are there, that's the only assumption that I can make. Theoretically, there's a chance, a tiny little chance that I'm wrong, but overall, everything screams these are stolen goods. And this is on the level of when that one sheet of Ixalan was stolen, where somebody stole like a foil sheet of Ixalan rares, like a full print sheet, took it home, took photographs of it and whatever. Now, it took a while for us to find out what was going on with that, right? Because Wizards of the Coast doesn't really openly discuss ongoing situations like that. But when it came to the Ixalan one, they did issue a finalized statement on the website saying, okay, we had this stuff stolen from us and we have recovered it and the person has been prosecuted. And considering how big Marvel is, like Wizards of the Coast is leaning into this Marvel stuff heavily. 2025 is going to be smeared with a ton of Marvel stuff. The reason this stuff says 2024 is because this is the teaser to lead us in, and it genuinely looks like it's at least 4 different secret layers. We don't know. It could theoretically be more. All we know is what this individual was able to get their hands on, and clearly they had no idea what kind of can of worms they were opening up here. If you're basic, I have no idea how you get access to this kind of stuff aside from being an employee. And if you're an employee, you're going to get caught doing this, right? And the short-term gains that you can make from this are so minimal in comparison. Like it's absolutely crazy to me that somebody would steal. I mean, I guess you have to be stupid to steal something so high profile from your company in the first place, right? And then obviously you're not going to be that bright and you're going to turn around and go, yeah, I'm going to sell these. Let's just get rid of the evidence. So anybody who ends up with these could theoretically be you could theoretically get into that whole, you're in possession of stolen goods. But the way that I view this situation, and I could be wrong, but the way that I view this is Wizards of the Coast is aggressively going to chase the person who is responsible for the actual theft. In terms of anybody who actually was able to buy it, who knows if the person sent them out right away? Who knows how fast they are on top of that? But I don't think that Wizards of the Coast is going to pursue it to the point where they want the police to track down everybody who is able to buy it and have them return it. It is theoretically possible that they might get the contact information and just send them a little scary statement saying, hey, you got stuff that's stolen, we've proven it and we want it back. But if somebody just ignores that message and doesn't send anything back, I can't see Wizards pursuing just a regular everyday person who has those cards, because unlike the situation with the Pinkertons and the Aftermath stuff, that was boxes on boxes, video on video being made. So it was an ongoing thing that Wizards really needed to stamp down on. This is a one-shot Facebook Play sale that has the image. The image is everywhere. The cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows about this. And maybe not everybody yet, but clearly the word is going to spread. And in a few days, everybody is going to know about this. Over on the actual main Magic Reddit, they've allowed the post about it to stay up. And a lot of times they delete these leaks and stuff, but they've basically gone, okay, these seem like they're genuinely real, but they also seem highly likely that they're stolen. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave the post up, but we're going to lock anybody who's actually trying to link to the marketplace post, because they don't want to send, basically the main Magic Reddit very much wants to curry favor with Wizards of the Coast. So they want to be a place you can go to get information, but they also don't want Wizards to be mad at them. So they're walking the middle of the road where they're like, okay, here's the image, it's everywhere, you're going to be able to see it anyhow, but we're not going to let you funnel people to this marketplace, which might lead to people buying stolen goods. But like I already said, that is done. The post has been taken down. I can't see it being reposted anywhere. So I'm looking forward to getting more details about how this happened, because this is a lot of stuff that was taken. Those rubber band stacks are just huge. And is that actually how they have them in the factory? I feel like they wouldn't, because when you have rubber bands, it literally squeezes in on the side of the cards. If you're an old school Magic player, I remember people putting rubber bands around their deck, and I never wanted to do that because it created little dents in the side of the card. So I would use those little plastic clamshell cases to keep my decks in, but then they wouldn't fit properly into the long boxes because of the little clasp nubs. So you couldn't win no matter what you do. But obviously, whoever's responsible for this is going to get boom, 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 beat down by the long arm of the law. This totally could result in jail time. And it's crazy if you think about it, because looking at the stacks of cards, I'm estimating that at most there's 20 of each secret layer, maybe even less, right? So at 20 of each secret layer, if he's only selling for $20 or $30, we're looking at maybe $400, $500, $600 a stack. So at most, you're going to come out with a couple $1,000 minus your shipping costs and everything else. All of that, right? Probably. That's the most you're going to make. And you just stole a bunch of high profile items that are going to be really easy to track down. You're literally the only person on the planet who has them right now, aside from the company, and you've posted it on Facebook of all places, like a straight up, very well known, it's not some secret dark web site or anything like that. It's absolutely wild to me. This is the most high profile magic theft that has ever occurred from the production facilities, where the people weren't just doing it to get attention online. The people who had the Ixalan full sheet that they stole just wanted to show off that they had it. They weren't even trying to like profit off of it, as far as I recall, and they got hosed hard. This guy stole the stuff and tried to sell it, which has to be a higher level crime. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it resulted in full on jail time. So, a crazy day indeed in the world of Magic the Gathering. Like I said before, we're going to talk about the insane commander bannings that have happened as well over on my live stream channel later today. So, link down in the description for you, or not in the description, sorry, in the top, in the pinned comment down there for you. I'll see you guys over there. Big shout out to my patrons. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. And my friends, as promised, I'm going to leave you with a goofy little outtake to end the video. See you next time. All right, my friends, we're starting this marvelous journey with Black Panda.